Every square foot tells a story. The astute developer listens to the land. Sophia Reeves, environmental engineer and site analyst. While Chapter 2 focuses on understanding a property's location and market dynamics, the next essential step in the development process lies in analyzing the site itself. Its physical characteristics, zoning regulations, utility infrastructure, and environmental factors. Understanding what lies on and beneath the land is just as crucial as understanding the demographics and economics surrounding it. Without a thorough site analysis, even the most promising locations can become traps of unforeseen costs, construction challenges, or legal constraints. Site characteristics influence almost every aspect of a multifamily development project, from layout design and building density to utility planning and environmental mitigation. One of the best tools available to developers today for evaluating a site is Google Earth. It offers a bird's-eye view of the property and its surroundings, allowing developers to assess factors such as neighboring land use, access to highways, and the visual appeal of the area. It's easy to underestimate how important these visual cues are, but for potential renters, unattractive surroundings like industrial zones or waste facilities nearby can significantly impact desirability. Conversely, views of parks, lakes, or clean residential areas can boost property appeal and even justify higher rents. Developers also need to evaluate proximity to major roads and highways. Access is critical for both residents and construction crews, but it's a double-edged sword. While easy access to major roads is a plus, noise from high-traffic routes can be a drawback. Visual quality and noise pollution must be weighed carefully in the early planning stages. These are the kinds of details that can be identified quickly using satellite imagery tools, yet they have long-lasting effects on livability and value of a project. Zoning and entitlements are next. These determine what you are legally allowed to build on a particular parcel of land. A property may seem perfect in every other respect, but be zoned in a way that makes your development plans impossible or extremely difficult without rezoning. Checking the current zoning designation is the first step. If it's not zoned for multifamily development, you'll need to explore the feasibility of rezoning or applying for variances. That process can be time-consuming, political, and uncertain. Something every developer must be prepared for. Understanding what's already been entitled, such as previous permits or environmental studies, can accelerate the process and reduce risks. Another major consideration is the parcel's physical characteristics. Shape and size matter a great deal in determining how efficiently land can be used. Rectangular parcels are typically easier to design around than irregular ones. Topography is also crucial. Flat land is ideal, requiring less site preparation, while uneven or hilly terrain might require grading, retaining walls, or custom foundation work, all of which increase costs. Developers must also evaluate setbacks, easements, and buffer zones. These limitations dictate where you can build, often reducing the usable area of the site. The availability and accessibility of utilities is another foundational element. Developers need to confirm the presence of water, sewer, and electricity connections, or determine the cost and feasibility of bringing them to the site. This is where a civil engineer becomes indispensable. A professional assessment of utility access and infrastructure needs can prevent costly surprises and inform better planning. Knowing where utility lines run, whether any easements exist, and whether there's enough capacity for your proposed development is critical before finalizing any deal. As you begin to conceptualize the development itself, considerations like building size, footprint, number of stories, and parking must be carefully planned. A common design might include 3-story buildings, but site topography or zoning regulations may necessitate variations. Parking is another huge component. Local regulations dictate how many spaces are required per unit, and the layout, whether surface or underground, directly affect how much land is available for buildings and amenities. If your plan includes amenities like a fitness center, pool, or clubhouse, space must be set aside accordingly. These facilities improve the attractiveness of a project, but also place additional demands on land use and infrastructure. Site access and circulation must also be considered early on. Roads, sidewalks, and driveways should allow for smooth movement of residents, emergency services, and maintenance crews. Open space requirements also come into play. Many jurisdictions mandate a certain percentage of open or green space, such as landscaping, parks, or recreational areas. These aren't just regulatory hurdles. They're features that influence tenant satisfaction and retention. Sustainability is becoming an increasingly important consideration. Developers are exploring green features like solar panels, rainwater harvesting, and energy-efficient building designs. While these features may have upfront costs, they often result in long-term savings and can attract environmentally conscious tenants. However, they require careful planning to integrate into the overall site design. Traffic impact is another issue that needs to be assessed. How will your development affect traffic in the area? Will new access roads be needed? Are there existing concerns from the local community? Community engagement is a piece often overlooked but extremely valuable. Understanding the needs, concerns, and preferences of the surrounding neighborhood can influence the design and approval process. Engaging with local stakeholders early in the process can help developers avoid resistance later on and even uncover ideas that improve the final project. The next major aspect is determining the potential unit count. While zoning laws may define a maximum number of units per acre, real-world constraints almost always reduce that number. Elements like stormwater retention ponds, utility easements, buffer zones, setbacks, and amenity spaces all take up room. A parcel zoned for 18 units per acre might only support 16 or fewer after all requirements are met. Understanding this discrepancy is critical to creating a realistic pro forma and financial model. To find the true achievable unit count, you need a civil engineer to perform a detailed site analysis. They'll account for all site constraints and generate a practical layout that maximizes buildable space while remaining within regulatory and design limitations. The civil engineer becomes one of the most important members of the development team at this stage, translating zoning regulations and physical realities into a site plan that works. Let's consider a 22-acre site zoned for 18 units per acre. Theoretically, it allows for 396 units. But with constraints like wetlands, setbacks, parking, and retention areas, the achievable number might drop to 360 or fewer. That example alone highlights why zoning maximums are often misleading. Unit mix, average unit size, and amenities will also influence this count. Larger units mean fewer total units per building. Amenities require space. Parking requirements can sprawl across significant areas, especially with surface parking. The design must strike a careful balance between buildable density and livability. Too many units crammed into a small area can hurt tenant experience and result in long-term management issues. Too few, and the project may not pencil out financially. These trade-offs must be evaluated through the lens of zoning, construction feasibility, and market demand. Another key concept is the impervious ratio. This measures percentage of the site covered by buildings, concrete, asphalt, or other surfaces that don't absorb water. Most municipalities regulate this ratio to manage stormwater runoff and prevent flooding. Exceeding the limit can result in denial of permits or costly redesigns. Lower impervious ratios often lead to greener, more sustainable developments with better stormwater management. But they also reduce the developable area. Developers must plan for adequate spacing between buildings, allow for natural drainage, and ensure compliance with local codes. Technology can also play a powerful role in site analysis. Tools like MapWise offer advanced GIS, Geographic Information System, capabilities that allow developers to analyze properties with high precision. MapWise lets you view layers including parcel boundaries, aerial images, flood zones, wetlands, zoning classifications, and future land use maps. These layers help developers understand the site's limitations and potential from multiple dimensions. With MapWise, users can search for properties using dozens of filters like owner name, site address, sale date, and price. You can also measure distances, calculate areas, and draw custom overlays directly onto the map. This is especially useful when visualizing setbacks, utility easements, and potential building envelopes. MapWise also allows for data export, making it easy to transfer GIS data into other tools or share with consultants and architects. Flood zone reports generated by platforms like MapWise are particularly valuable. Properties located in flood-prone areas require special considerations, such as elevated foundations, drainage systems, or flood insurance. Identifying these risks early can save enormous costs and headaches down the road. A strong site analysis involves bringing together multiple perspectives, visual observations, zoning law interpretation, infrastructure assessments, and environmental reviews. All of these elements inform your development strategy. Understanding the land isn't just about dirt and trees. It's about opportunity, constraint, and long-term value. In summary, this chapter reinforces the importance of analyzing every inch of your property, not just its location on a map. It's about peeling back the layers to understand what lies beneath the surface and how it will shape your project's success. Every square foot tells a story. The savvy developer learns to listen,